Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining in. We were just giving people a few more minutes to join in, but I think we can start. I hope you're doing well. Just to check in, how many of us are available on audio? I know I'd gotten communication from one of us, but maybe just a confirmation. Lillian Wilsack, are you available on audio? Will you be able to unmute at some point during the session, if need be?
Yeah, my audio is okay.
Okay, great. I can hear you. Thank you. Lillian, on your side? Okay, Lillian has dropped off. Dennis, I know you had communicated earlier, so I'll keep that in mind. That's fine. All right, so I think I'll start off. I'm a little bit confused now that Lillian has dropped off, but I hope she can join in so that we have a bit of quorum. So welcome to today's session. We'll build up from where we left yesterday. I know we did a discussion around content based on the different digital marketing categories available. We did that through a brainstorm, and I said we'll have a conversation today for the group to just discuss. And of course, I'll mesh that with some of the learnings we have for the day. So I'll do a bit of speaking first, and then at some point we'll have a discussion. So as you probably noticed, based on yesterday's conversation, when thinking about content, there's a lot of things that matter. You don't just have to think about the brand alone, but you need to think about who are they trying to talk to in terms of who's their target audience. You also need to think about what kind of content appeals to them. So yesterday, remember, we talked about videos, we talked about articles, and so on and so forth. And I showed this visual that had the different types of content. Then, of course, things you need to understand, where can you find them online? So if you remember, we had a discussion yesterday, and based on the company we chose, then we're able to justify, do they need influencers? Do they need mobile marketing? Do they need video marketing? So you need to be very clear about that. But I think most of all, what you need to keep in mind is ask yourself, why exactly should they listen to you? Remember, there are many brands talking online, but what's going to make people pay attention to whatever it is you have to say as compared to another company? And with that in mind, of course, then this clearly shows that as a business, you could be targeting different kinds of customers. We have our loyal customers, the people who, give you repeat business. They always buy from you. We have the one-time buyers, people who probably buy from you once, most of the time, probably because you have this big discount and, they'll never buy again. Then we have a kind of customer called the switcher. Ideally, they switch from one brand to another, depending on certain reasons that they have. Could be price, could be they're trying out different products, and so on and so forth. Then lastly, we have this type of customers who probably only buy from you when you have a discount. When you have those four customers in mind, I think it becomes easier for you to understand why your customer journey is the way it is, and why sometimes it may be very easy to convert, one customer as compared to another customer. So I want you to always have that in mind, that when you're dealing or creating content or communication for different clients, then ideally those are the different customers that you have in mind. So based on that, I'd like to introduce a term called content marketing. And I like to think of content marketing in the simplest way possible. Ideally, it's just a type of marketing where you're focusing on creating valuable, relevant, and consistent content that will ideally, in the end, drive customers to take a certain action. So it's not just about creating content and ticking a box, but it's more about, is this content going to actually get people to take a certain action? So based on that, I'd love us to just do a bit of an intro to content marketing. And I think maybe to let it sink a little better, I've given you a brief definition. I love to simplify things. But just to give you an idea of how exactly it works, some examples and so on and so forth, I'd love to play a video. There's a guy I follow on YouTube, or rather, there's a guy who speaks on behalf of a company I follow on YouTube. It's called HubSpot Marketing. And this guy has done a video around, the different things people must know about content marketing that I think is quite relevant. So I'll share my screen and then, yeah, we can watch the video and continue the discussion from there.
What's that? Oh, you want to learn about what content marketing? What's that? Oh, you want to learn about what content marketing is? Well, I'm glad you're in this video then, because today's video is all about how content marketing works, what it is, and guess what? It's already happening right now. That's right. This content is content marketing. A little sleight of hand. So strap in, and we're going to get going. Be sure to subscribe to this channel to get all the latest digital marketing tips and tricks. What's up? It's Jamal from HubSpot. Content marketing is defined as the process of creating, distributing, sharing, and publishing content to reach your target audience and increase brand awareness, sales, engagement, and loyalty. But what does that meaning mean? What is the meaning of meaning? Any guesses? No? All right. In simple terms, content marketing is making stuff like blogs, social media, podcasts, video, apps, memes that draw customers to your brand by informing them of something they already want to know. It's part of a framework called inbound marketing, where you create something that the audience seeks out, as opposed to creating something that you force on your audience. You wanted to know about content marketing, so you searched and found this video that HubSpot made to teach you about content marketing. So why would we do that? Do we just not know how to sell a product? Well, maybe watching this video is interesting enough that you download the free content marketing training workbook we have linked in the description. And maybe that ebook will inspire you to try out HubSpot's free Marketing Hub software. And maybe, just maybe, our free marketing software will be so beneficial to your business that you sign up for one of our subscriptions. Now your brand is really growing. And that's the truth. Another truth is that there are a lot of maybes in that equation. And it's also true that content marketing takes a lot of work. So what's the alternative? The truth is that for most businesses, the alternative is worse. You see, before content marketing, there was this thing called advertising, otherwise known as outbound marketing. Outbound marketing was the thing that interrupted your audience, popping up in the middle of TV shows or while reading a magazine or scrolling a web page. Nobody really liked outbound marketing because it was disruptive. Like that one kid in class who thought he was funny, but it wasn't really working out for him. And you're just like, maybe you should just let the teacher continue with what they're doing here. You know what I'm saying? Jerry. But it was the only way for brands to reach potential customers. And it was the only way for customers to find out about a brand's products and services. But they still had to remember those brands when it came time to actually make a purchase. And if you're anything like me, you forget everything. Where am I? So yeah, not a particularly efficient system. Then came streaming and ad blockers and the balkanization of media into millions of individual channels. Suddenly, it became really, really hard to deliver an outbound marketing message, even one that was memorable. Fortunately, the same tools that allow everyone to choose their own media diet also gave rise to highly personalized marketing messages that would only pop up when the audience was looking for it. This is called inbound marketing, and content marketing is an essential piece of that equation. It's there when customers want it to be, and invisible when they don't. And when done right, inbound marketing doesn't feel like marketing at all. It feels like a seamless part of the customer's experience in discovering your brand, like this video you're watching right now. Want to see more examples of content marketing to grow your business? Let's go back to that list from earlier. Blogs are a great content marketing platform for brands because they're relatively easy to set up, easy for the audience to discover via search, and have a long tail in terms of remaining viable for future customers. One of my favorite brand blogs is Bark Post by pet supply company Bark. The blog is full of the type of content that dog lovers would love to search for. There's doggy health and doggy travel and doggy training. Wait a second. You're not a dog. Man, get out of here. I miss him. Another easy to activate content marketing method is social media. But because it seems so easy, a lot of brands do it wrong, treating social like outbound marketing that interrupts the user's experience when scrolling. What's an example of good social media marketing? How about the GE InstaWalk campaign that invited select Instagram photographers to visit one of their massive facilities and photograph some of the mammoth machines that make General Electric one of the most important engineering firms in the world? There's no denying that these sorts of mechanical marvels are really popular on Instagram. So GE was able to educate their audience about the brand without interrupting the photographic experience users are seeking when using the app. Dedicated brand apps have become an increasingly popular form of content marketing. Now, apps can be complicated and expensive, and you don't want to just replicate the online shopping experience. But if you can create something truly useful for your audience, then they could end up opening the app every day, and you can't beat that sort of inbound brand exposure. We looked at a lot of branded apps in the App Store, and of course, the one that stood out came from one of the best brands in the world. The Nike Training Club app takes users through daily fitness routines, nutrition tips, and wellness habits prescribed by some of the top trainers in the world. It's the sort of app that demands repeated use to get results. In fact, one of the best things about the app is that they can remind users to open them several times a day. And we welcome those sort of reminders. You know what I'm saying? A little dopamine with the notification. You know what I'm talking about. Now might be a good time to remind you to hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button so you get that every time HubSpot posts a new video. But back to Nike. The app is constantly updated with new fitness courses and content. This demonstrates an important lesson for all content marketing. Yes, quality content can deliver an audience long after it's been published, but you need to post new content and update old content consistently for it to be truly effective. The island of abandoned blogs is the saddest place on the internet. So before you begin a content marketing project, make sure you have the resources to commit to it over the long term. One of the most often abandoned forms of content marketing is podcasting. And this is too bad because it's one of the most effective and exciting forms of content marketing out there. Sometimes I like to block out the world for an hour and listen to the Umpqua Bank podcast and get inspired by the emotional stories of the entrepreneurs who work with this community bank. By the end, I'm ready to move to Oregon and take out a loan. It's that powerful. All of the best content marketing impacts your audience in a powerful way. So how do you get started? Well, start by deciding what you want to accomplish with your content marketing. Are you looking for brand awareness or to stimulate customer loyalty? Set clear goals and KPIs that can be accomplished. Next, decide which channels will allow you to accomplish your goals. Do you want to build your own blog, or can you rely on social media platforms that already exist? Can you effectively tell your story using text and photos, or should you invest in creating videos? Whatever you decide, you then have to start creating the content and publishing it at a regular frequency. The exact pace of publishing can vary, but remember that consistency is key. You know, like Baby Bear's porch, you want your consistency to be just right. And finally, measure and analyze your results to maximize the return you're going to get on your content marketing investment. That doesn't mean refreshing your stats every hour, but you do want to review the overall success of your content marketing every month or every quarter. To learn more about how to create and execute your own content marketing strategy, you can download our free content marketing workbook that will take you step by step through the process. You can also take the free content marketing certification course available online at HubSpot Academy. Links to both are in the description below. I can't wait to see the content that you come up with. Now, if you'll excuse me and Leon have some dog blogs to look at. I'll catch you next time. Yeah. Peace out. Now, if you'll excuse me and
So as you can see, content marketing could be a lot. And one thing I really love about how our digital space keeps growing is the fact that very many brands are starting to see the need for them to incorporate content marketing all over. It's not by mistake that in addition to the long videos that YouTube have, they've introduced YouTube Shorts. If you're a Spotify user, it's not by mistake that Spotify now has video content. The other day, I remember using my Bible app on my phone, and I saw that they have stories, like Instagram stories on the Bible app. That same Bible app has tricks, just like, you know, Snapchat, for example, or just like Duolingo for the people who use Duolingo to learn a new language. you get a streak every time you log in and sort of learn for the day. Many brands are starting to incorporate little by little elements of can I say content marketing into their brand. So it's no longer just about the blogs, the long videos and all that, but a lot of it is growing. And so you can already see why it's so important to have content. Yesterday when you were doing the group work, I gave some comments afterwards. And I talked about how different people have different ways of coming up with ideas for content. And I want you to be unique to your own way. You don't have to feel pressure to think like Melanie or to think like Dennis or anyone else. So having that in mind, for some people, you could find it a little bit easier to come up with ideas for content. For others, maybe not as easy. But I think I gave an idea of an image that I had yesterday with the different types of content. At the end of it all, as long as you can communicate what you're trying to communicate to your target audience in a way that they relate to, that's all that matters. There are brands that have very complicated, overthought campaigns. For example, the one we watched, I think, a week or two ago of the zebra crossing advertisement, that was, a little bit overthought. But for other people, I remember seeing a campaign that Dove, the brand, did, the soap brand, where they were basically trying to show ladies that the more they use Dove, the more they can bring in both their inner and outer beauty. And I remember they basically had two plaques for those where you had to walk in either the average door or the beautiful door. And that's all they used to do the campaign. So sometimes it's all about, thinking either in a very complicated way or thinking in a very simple way. So until that point, I don't know if anyone has a question that you'd like me to clarify before we continue. I'd love to now dive into how to communicate this content in writing. So I'll give it just a second or so. If there's any question, based on what we've covered so far, this is a good time to ask. All right. So content can be represented in different ways. They could be the visual side, they could be the words or copy side. So if we're dealing with words, depending on the platform you're on, say social media, then of course you're going to be creating social media captions. If you're dealing with emails, you're going to be creating emailers or newsletters. If you're dealing with mobile marketing, you're going to be creating messages. And all of that, again, is dependent on a number of things. But for today's session, I'd love us to just focus on the composition style of writing, where you can have a headline, you can have a body, you can have a conclusion to make one long caption or one long email. But for other people, you could have one of them. You don't have to have all of them. So there are scenarios where you just have a headline, there are scenarios where you just have a body or a conclusion. Why is all that important? Because sometimes when you're talking to your target audience, you have to understand what exactly works for them. So for example, we'll get to this conversation at some point, but if I can just share my screen, I have two posts that I'd love us to look at by KCB Bank, or rather KCB Group. And in these two posts that you're seeing here, ideally both of them are short captions, probably, either have a headline in a body or, just a headline or just a call to action. So if you look at these two captions that we have, the first thing that I want you to notice is that KCB Group incorporates both English and Swahili or English and Sheng in their captions. So if you look at the one on the left, they're talking about, worried about that Rela who is Maju, we've got you. Thanks to KCB's internet banking, you can send money to your loved ones across the world instantly via SWIFT in the comfort of your house. Then we have this other one that says, how we're sleeping tonight, knowing all our bank payments have been sorted. Where J, with KCB's internet banking, you can continue staying safe by making payments bila kutoka kwa hao. So already, if you look at that, there's a mixture. On the visual itself, they are only speaking English. If you look at the picture they've chosen, there's some communication around it. So we have the guy sleeping, we have this other lady who looks like she's working from maybe a home office. All these things are contributed to both in a visual way and in a copy way. So if we're talking about the copy, there are different things that you need to think about when you're coming up with a caption. Of course, number one, who are you talking to? Number two, what do they want to know in terms of things they are going to relate to? In this case, KCB has chosen the themes: a relative who is abroad and making bulk payments. You also need to think about, how does the brand want to sound? What is the sound or the voice of the brand? As you can see, KCB wants to sound like this friend. That's why they're using the mixture of English and Swahili or Sheng, who understands what you're going through and is the plug for all solutions. So already when you think of those three things, everything else becomes a lot easier for a caption, because then it's for you to ask yourself, am I just informing them, or do I want to inform them and get them to take an action? So you can see this one, the lady has a call to action of find out how via this link. But this one for the gent does not have a call to action. It's almost just informational. So as you think of your posts, I want you to think of them like that. Are there posts where you will just be providing information without necessarily having a call to action? Are there others where you must have a call to action? Very important things to think about. So with all of that in mind, what then are some of the key things that you probably need to have in mind as a brand? One, I think for me, when you're coming up with your captions, it's very important for you to understand what language, or how you want to speak to your target audience, something that I've already talked about. So I have this lady here who, she had a video on writing captions. It's a bit long, so we'll watch it in bits, where she gives different tips around writing captions specifically. And the reason I like to play this video is because those same lessons she teaches for captions are relevant for email marketing writing. They are relevant for article writing. They are also relevant for mobile marketing writing. So if you get what she's saying in this video, it becomes a lot easier to do all of your copy work. I apologize for the noise in my background if you can hear it. I have a few dogs barking. I'll close my window, but in the meantime, I will start video.
Do you want to generate more likes and comments for your Instagram photos simply by writing amazing captions? Keep on watching. I'm going to share with you my 5 tips for writing engaging captions for Instagram. Hey, my name is Katie Steckley, and here on my channel, I love to talk all things YouTube, Instagram, filmmaking, and freelance. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss my future videos. I upload 3 new videos a week. Captions are such an important part of Instagram. It honestly surprises me how many people are still sleeping on this. Instagram is so much more than pretty pictures. I think actually captions are a great opportunity for so many creators to add extra value, and people are not even seeing it. Here's the thing. I am not the most amazing photographer on the planet, and chances are maybe you aren't either. It's very, very hard to stand out on Instagram with photos alone, especially if you are the one taking them and not the one in them. So instead of trying to compete on the plane of just how amazing can your photos be, think about trying to add value with your captions. This is something that I think is a lot more accessible for most people. And depending on the niche that you're in, you might actually be able to add more value to people through writing than just through images. Ever since I started implementing these 5 strategies I'm about to share, my engagement has grown a ton. For reference, now I have about 3.6K followers, and I get anywhere from like 100 to 200 comments on an image and somewhere between 300 to 700 likes, which is an engagement rate that I am very happy with. Most importantly, I get to have really awesome conversations in the comments of my photos because people are inspired to give me feedback on whatever I've said in the caption. So if you're looking for that kind of interaction and engagement, keep on watching. Here are the 5 steps to writing a killer Instagram caption. Step 1, come up with a topic. This could be something that you've been thinking about for a while. Normally, this is like an idea or a conversation that's just been on my heart lately that I want to share with people. But depending on your niche, it could also be a how-to. Maybe it's something that's been in the news lately. Maybe it's a destination or a restaurant that you want to share. Whatever it is, come up with a topic that you're going to write about. You just want to make sure that your caption actually has a purpose and a focus. So this is really bringing out my English major, but you maybe want to come up with a thesis for your caption. At least have an idea of what the reason behind it is. Number 2, write a headline. Now, I know that Instagram captions don't technically have a headline, but if you're scrolling through, you will notice that any caption over like 2 or 3 lines long is going to have a little see more button. What you want to focus on writing first is the part that is going to show up before see more. Now, I know it might sound kind of counterintuitive to write your headline before you write the body of your caption, but the reason why I do this is because I want to make sure that any caption I write is going to have a super engaging and captivating hook at the beginning, because if it's not there, unfortunately, people just aren't going to read the rest. So you can spend all this time writing a beautiful long story in your caption, but if the first 3 lines aren't interesting enough to get people to click see more, no one's ever going to read it. So once I have a topic in mind, I try to think about captivating or interesting ways that I can hook people into what I want to talk about. For instance, on my most recent post, I wrote, "There are so many dishonest people online, and I'm trying hard every day not to become one of them." I think that's pretty interesting, right? People read that and they're like, dishonest people? How is she going to become one of them? You know, it prompts the reader to ask some questions and makes them want to keep on reading. Another example would be, "I want it to seem like I've got my shit together, but honestly, I'm overwhelmed as heck these days." Again, maybe enticing. Maybe you want to know more about that. These are all examples of hook lines to really like bring people in to the rest of your captions. So some people might claim that this is kind of like clickbaity, but I honestly don't think that it's clickbait as long as you deliver on what you're promising in your headline or the first couple lines of your caption. This is just basic writing. You know what I mean? You want the beginning of your thing to be very interesting to prompt people to keep on reading more. I would encourage you to spend most of your time coming up with this headline, because this is going to be the most important part of whether or not people read the rest of your caption. Once you've got that figured out, it's time for number 3, and that is writing the body of your caption and making sure to add lots of line breaks. Honestly, I wouldn't be too afraid to make this as long as it needs to be for you to get your point across. I mean, don't write like 12,000 words or anything like that, but I think like 250 to 500 words is suitable. Like, it's going to look pretty long, but if people are really engaged with what you're talking about, they'll keep reading it. But it's really important that when you have that many words, you're breaking it up with spaces. You want to know how to add spaces to your Instagram captions? Go check out this video that I made about it. It's a really straightforward process and it'll work every time. So go check that out. But I would encourage you to write no more than like 2 or 3 sentences before adding a new paragraph break, because that'll just make it look a little bit easier to read when someone is first skimming through it. If you have...
Okay, I'll pause the video there a little bit. I think I got a round of comments. I'd be interested to know what kind of consumer are you? Do you prefer long captions? Do you prefer short ones? And maybe why? I think I'll start with Lilian. You're the first one on my list. Then we can go to Dennis, then Wilsack. What kind of consumer are you? Long or short captions, and why?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I prefer short captions because they are straight to the point.
Sorry, Lilian, your audio is going. Can you speak louder?
Let me type it.
All right. Now your audio came back, but sawa. All right. Wilsack, long or short captions, and why?
Short captions, because I don't like reading too much stuff. It's boring.
I love that you've used the word boring, because then, yes, that happens. And I know most of the time, then sometimes when you work with a client, you get to realize that clients really love long captions. But sometimes it's all about asking, does the consumer then love long captions? And as you noticed from the video that this lady was talking about, she also loves long captions. But what I like about her is towards the end of the video, she breaks it down in terms of just trying to make you understand that you don't have to have that entire long caption. You can have it in bits. And that's why I was talking about composition style of writing, when you have, a headline, a body, and a conclusion on one of those ones. So I think it's quite critical to think of things like that, because then that's where the world is going. No one wants to be overwhelmed, with too much, can I say, such a long caption, because then do we have the time? And that's why you're finding very many brands are also starting to, what can I say? They're starting to have videos as their content. These videos are starting to have captions and so on and so forth. So you're finding that even in the videos, people are trying to communicate, so that if you're somewhere where you cannot necessarily speak, you're still able to watch and understand the video. I can see Liam says she prefers short and concise captions. So yeah, I definitely agree. There are instances where longer captions will work. There are some where shorter captions will work. But yes, I think we get that point. So I think we'll watch the remainder. Sorry, we'll watch the remainder of the video. Just give me a minute.
Just make it look a little bit easier to read when someone is first skimming through it. If you have a long block of text, that is just basically a big flashing sign that says skip over me, because people see that and they feel overwhelmed by the amount of text they're going to have to read through, so they just don't want to bother. Step number 4 is to read through your caption and make sure that throughout the entire thing, you're writing the same way that you would talk to a friend. Your followers on Instagram feel like they know you personally, and you are friends with them, right? You're engaging with them, you're DMing them, commenting back and forth with them. So make sure that you're not writing as if you're writing an essay or a school paper. Write it like you would actually speak to a friend about it. This is something that I find pretty easy, because a lot of the stuff that I write about is stuff that I would talk to a friend about. I talk to my friends about, oh, I'm feeling overwhelmed, or, oh, I don't want to fall into this trap of being like a dishonest creator. These are the kinds of things that I talk to people about, so that when I go to write it, it feels very natural to do that. So just kind of read it through and make sure that your tone feels like you and isn't overly formal. Finally, step number 5 is to leave them with a call to action. For the people who read all the way to the bottom of your post, you want to leave them with some inspiration to comment to you. Chances are there are people that are going to leave a comment even just from reading halfway through, because they'll find something that they relate to and want to speak to. But if people get to the bottom of your caption, you don't want them to just keep on scrolling. You want them to leave you a comment, or at the very least a like. So I like to end every caption with a question, asking someone's opinion, or saying like, what do you think about this? Like, let's talk about it in the comments. And that seems to do really well for getting people to share their thoughts and respond. I think the call to action is sort of like a superficial tag on the end, because really, if you write something that is thought-provoking and engaging, people will probably respond to it whether or not you have that little question at the end. But for some people who kind of feel like, oh, like, should I say it or not? Leaving a question at the bottom is going to be that final push to say, yeah, leave me a comment. I want to know what you think. So don't be afraid to do that. Pretty much end any caption with that, and you'll find that that will increase your engagement for people who weren't really sure if they should leave a comment or not. So those are my tips for writing engaging Instagram captions. Like I said, I think this is probably the most important part of an Instagram post for most people. But if you do want to improve your Instagram photos, check out this video I made about how to take good photos for Instagram with just your iPhone. But before you go, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos. Like I said, I'm posting 3 new videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss them. As always, I hope that you're having adventures and following.
Great. So in addition to some of the things she's just mentioned, I think it's very critical for you to check on the simple things when it comes to your captions, things like spelling, things like using proper English. I've had scenarios where I have clients who, some use British English while others don't. So you have to be very careful about the S's and the Z's in words such as prioritizing, minimizing, so that then, you're not doing something that the client is not. So I think captions are pretty easy to write. I think naturally anyone and everyone can write a caption. But of course, when you now add on the marketing knowledge that you have, then you find yourself incorporating other things into all of it. So keeping that in mind, sometimes when you're creating your content, whether it's visually, whether it's copy-wise, you find yourself having to reuse that content. And in our case, reusing this content is something that we call repurposing in digital marketing. So I want you to think of repurposing in different ways. I could have this long YouTube video, maybe 1 hour, but I decide to break it down into snippets of videos with different lessons. That's one example of repurposing, where you have a bigger content and you're trying to break it down into smaller content. Maybe you also have a blog and you break down sections of the blog to now use them for marketing. But another example of remarketing could also be in the form of reusing. Maybe last week we talked about what can I say? The importance of, or maybe some of the things you should have when you're coming up with a caption. So maybe we did that in the form of a post that had different summarized points of the things you should keep in mind. Then a month later, we decided to talk about it, but instead of pushing the different things you should have in order to have a good caption, maybe we can talk about it in terms of a checklist. So do you have these things or things that you must include in your checklist for you to know that you have a good caption? So every marketer has the opportunity to repurpose content as much as they'd like. I know you're probably seated here asking yourself, but that's a repetition. In marketing, repetition is allowed, especially if it's a post that has done well. Feel free to repeat it in a different way. One thing I can tell you, most times consumers don't remember, but if you do it in a different way, then you have the opportunity to keep talking about something that is important, especially if it's something that you'd like to insist on, then repurposing comes in handy. So of course, all of us are in a position to repurpose. It all depends with how you'd like to do it, but I thought just to mention that. We've done the copy side of things. What about the visual side of things? If we needed to represent our information visually, what would that look like? So yesterday I shared a video in the group of a demo of a platform called Canva. And I think I'll play the video again, but Canva ideally is a design platform, which we will use. Usually I say it's different people have different, what can I call it, styles to designing. So I may share my screen here and teach you how to design on Canva, but when you go to try it on your own, you realize that you probably would design something differently. So usually I teach Canva in reverse. I usually allow people to try it first, and then now we come in and sort of give comments or rework the designs that we have. So maybe before we get into that conversation of designing on your own, I think we'll start with the short video I have shared on the group. For those of us who had not watched it, for those of us who had, don't worry, we'll watch it a second time. So let's watch that video first, and then we can talk a little bit about how.
Welcome to Canva video tutorial. Today, we're going to have a look at how to use Canva to create a recipe book. First thing you need to do is go to canva.com. Once there, if you have an account with Canva already, click Login. If you don't have an account, you have an option to sign up with Google, sign up with Facebook, or sign up with your email. Because I already have an account, I'm going to click Login and enter my credentials. Once you've logged in or signed up, this is what the home screen will look like. We have search engine at the top, collections of popular designs underneath, and your designs at the bottom. Also, on the left, you will see a navigation panel. The easiest way to create a recipe book or recipe card is to look for designs. Recipe card. You also can create a design from scratch. However, if you look for designs, Canva will offer you some templates. Scroll down and pick a template that looks good to you. Once you've selected a template that you like, Canva will take you to the editing screen. Your workspace takes up the majority of your screen. On the left-hand side of the screen, you will see a navigation bar. Now when you have the template, you can start adding elements. These are the elements that you can add to your template. Let's start with adding some text. Click on the text and then select the text you like. You can choose from adding simple text or adding text from a template. Simply drag and drop the text to your template. The text will appear in your editing screen. If you'd like to edit the text, simply click on the text and look at the top tab. You can change the font of the text, font, and other features. You can also add some elements. Elements are grouped together under the headings. If you're looking for a specific element, try searching for it. If you're looking for the cake, try typing in cake. This will bring up all images of cakes. Images that have a $sign next to them are paid for. You can still use them in your design, but they will have a watermark on them. Images that don't have a $sign next to them, but rather have a free sign, can be used without a watermark. If you want to resize the image, drag the corners of the image. If you want to rotate, click on rotation button and rotate the image to fit your design. If you didn't find images that you want, you can always search for the images online, download them on your computer, and then use upload function. Click upload, upload images, and then select them from your computer. They will appear in your upload, and then you can again simply drag and drop these images onto your working screen. This is just some of the images I uploaded before. Once your design is ready, click download. Select the file type. I normally select PNG, then click download. This will download a file that you can then share with your teacher. Thank you for checking out this tutorial. I hope it was helpful, and have fun with Canva. Bye-bye.
Great. So now I'd love us to dive into some of these things practically. And I want you to individually think of a brand that you'd like to use for the next activities we'll be having. Just like yesterday, we thought of a brand, but it was more group based. So I want you individually to think of a brand you'd like to use for this next phase of the class, where we'll be answering some questions. And the first question I'd love for us to answer is, I want you, based on the lessons we've learned so far, to come up with an example of a text message that can be used to market the brand that you think of. In this case, we're calling it brand X. So think of a company, which is your brand X, and write a text message that can be sent out to their customers to market that brand. Remember, I've said text message. So think of that, come up with that text, and once you're done, paste the text on this call, on the chat section of this call. So I've pasted the question, come up with a text message you can use to market brand X. So I'll give us 5 minutes to do that. It's now 10:16. So by around 10:21, I would love to start seeing the examples of the text messages coming in the chat. So yeah, go ahead. You have 5 minutes. We have 1 more minute, so please start pasting your responses. I can see we have some people typing, but we have 1 more minute. Okay, guys, time is up. Please paste your messages. I can only see one from Wilsack. Lillian, Dennis, Margaret, Gloria, please paste your messages on the chat. Okay, I can see Gloria and Lillian typing. Margaret, Dennis, should we expect your text on the chat in a bit? Since you're not typing. Margaret? Dennis? Thank you, Lillian. Thank you, Gloria. I'll just give it another minute. Margaret and Dennis, please let me know either on mic, either on chat. I'd love to see your message so that then we proceed with analyzing them. You can see Dennis typing. Margaret, are you on the call? We are not seeing any participation from you.
Yes, I'm on the call. I'm trying to catch up because I was late. Sorry, guys.
All right, all right. Okay, so I think I'll just start with what I have on the chat. Thank you, everyone, for posting your message. So I'll start off with the first message that we got from Wilsack. Wilsack says, "Hey there, tired of waste piling up? Trash Tech Solutions is here to tidy things up. Our eco-friendly waste management services ensure a cleaner, greener tomorrow. Let's team up for a cleaner world." So maybe Wilsack, allow me to just ask a follow-up question. What action are we hoping people will take once they receive this message? What are we hoping they'll do?
Okay, I hope after receiving the message, they will follow up and like to know more about what we do and maybe go to an extra mile and seek for our services.
Okay, so when you say services, just to be clear, so Trash Tech is helping people manage their waste, or are you looking for other companies to team up with, as you mentioned here, to manage waste together? Which is it between the two?
Trash Tech is a waste management company and it will work independently.
Okay, sawa, that's good. I've asked those follow-up questions because, guys, I want you to have that in mind. As you send your message, will people get it immediately, or will there be follow-up questions thereafter? Remember, you're probably going to be sending a message to a number of people. You'll probably be charged per message for doing bulk messaging. So you want to ensure that your message is as effective as possible and people are able to understand what it is you're saying. So areas of improvement I would suggest for that specific message is maybe it would be easier to have a specific call to action. So rather than a general one like let's team up, what exactly do you want people to do? Do you want them to book a consultation? Do you want them to maybe download an app because that's where the app is going to help them get the services? Yeah, so I want you to think of that. Do you want them to call? Do you want them to reply? That sort of thing. So have that in mind. I think also depending on what you're trying to achieve, it would be good to maybe create a sort of sense of urgency in your call to action. So are we adding words like let's team up today, let's team up now, or are you probably offering a discount? You want someone to feel as though this message was created for them, because I'm assuming you have a targeted audience for the messaging, and you want everyone to feel like, wow, these guys are speaking exactly to me. So I think that's the feedback I'd give for that one. Then we have the second one from Lillian. Lillian says, unlock your potential, step up and shine with confidence using Kiwi Polish. Maybe Lillian, we can hear from you. What are we expecting to be the response or the action after that message?
I expect a follow-up in terms of engagement and also to increase brand awareness.
Okay, to increase brand awareness. What have you said about engagement? Like what type of engagement are you expecting then after the message?
Like interest, a kind of engagement, follow-up, something like that.
So almost like people reaching out to now Kiwi based on the message.
Yes. Trying to find out what is this that can help me unlock my potential. How can I? But yeah, something like that.
Right. Okay. That's good. Thank you for sharing that. I like that the message is short and straight to the point. I think as a consumer on my side, of course, I'm left with a curiosity, maybe which is what the point of the message was. But based on that curiosity, I want you to think of your target audience. If you were reaching out to the Kiwi target audience, would they actually be curious enough to reach out? As compared to maybe if a message like this was done for an event, are people more likely to reach out because it's an event, or would people reach out, because it's Kiwi? So I think you need to incorporate that. I think in addition to that, consumers like to be told what to do. So you may find yourself having to put a sort of call to action, even if you still want to remain with the curiosity. I telling people probably visit www.kiwi.com to find out how, so that you're able to track. Because if you leave it like this, you won't be able to measure, you won't be able to know if it worked or not. So I think incorporating a way that will still keep the curiosity could be by maybe telling people to visit a certain place to find out one. Then we have a message from Gloria. She says, Spirit is a one-stop salon providing you with an improved, healthy healthcare regimen. Let us transform your look. Connect with us for the latest hairstyles on www or that specific number. So ideally, Gloria, I assume that people are going to be reaching out to maybe book an appointment, yeah? Or is it just to check out the hairstyles? What exactly is your call to action based on this? Gloria?
Yeah, I'm saying I'd like them to contact us.
Yes, you'd like them to contact you. I've gotten that, but you've said connect with us for the latest hairstyles. So do you want them to just view hairstyles, inquire about the hairstyles, or do you want them to, book an appointment, that sort of thing?
Book an appointment.
Okay. So I think maybe a bit of editing on your caption, on your message, sorry. Again, be quite careful with the words that you use. So if I can just read the message again. So Spritz is a one-stop salon, providing you with an improved, healthy hair care regimen. Let us transform your look. So you've asked people to let them transform your look. Then you've also asked them to connect. Then you've also talked about hairstyles. Sometimes, especially given that messaging is short, you need to choose one thing. So do you want people to connect with you on social media to view the latest hairstyles? Or do you want them to book an appointment for you to transform their look? So you need to be quite specific with what you're saying so that people are actually clear on what exact action you'd like them to take. So maybe it could sound like book your appointment today to experience the latest trends in hairstyling, for example. So just thinking around something like that. But thank you for sharing. Then we have a message from Dennis. Dennis says, shop smart at Carrefour. Enjoy great deals on groceries, households, essentials, and more. Visit us today and save big on all your shopping needs. I think this is pretty good. I have a few questions around the hashtags. Maybe just because on message, you may not be able to track hashtags necessarily. I think another question I have. So Dennis, ideally this message is driving traffic to the shop from your call to action. But I'm curious to know how will you measure that it's worked? If you're asked as the marketing manager at some point, how will you know if this message worked or not? I don't know if you're in a position to unmute. But maybe if you're not, maybe you can just let us know in the chat what you had in mind in terms of how you measure whether that is working. I think that's a really big concern for me, because does that mean at the shop, maybe people will be asked how they found out about, maybe this offer or this sort of thing you're doing. But, maybe think of something that is more measurable, so are we telling people, I don't know, to maybe sign up for something, or do we have a way we track even at the shop? There are scenarios where you visit somewhere and you find people asking, how did you find out about us? That sort of thing. So, or do you want to give both call to actions as an option? So you may be telling Paul, you can explore some of the offers we have on our website, which is www blah blah blah, or you can visit your nearest store, that sort of thing, so that you sort of have a safety net in terms of how you're actually going to measure whether it's working or not. So as you guys think of your messages, I want you to have that in mind. It needs to be measurable, in some sort of way. Even if it's engagement, you need to ask yourself, how will you measure that people have actually engaged? Because it's not enough for you to say people have read my message. I have had many scenarios where, for example, I receive promotional messages and I just mark them as read. I won't necessarily read, like really concentrate and read. So I'd like you to have that in mind. So I'll come back to Dennis's comment. I think I'll go over to Margaret. Margaret said, own your dream home affordably in Nairobi. Madaraka Homes makes buying property seamless, guiding you to your perfect place. Margaret, any call to action you had in mind, or what's the response you're expecting after this? What are you hoping that consumers are going to do?
Ideally, the call to action was to send them to the company's website for them to look at the properties available that will meet their needs. So that's what I had in mind.
Amazing. So I think you've just said it yourself. Ideally, it would be nice to incorporate that call to action on the website. Again, so that you're able to know what people are saying. But I like what everyone has come up with. I love that it's been simple. I love that it's communicating with the target audience. That's what we want. You don't want a scenario where people are receiving your message and wondering, okay, what exactly are these guys trying to say? What are they trying to communicate to me? So I can see Dennis in the chat saying, will an increase in sales indicate a positive change? Yes, it will, but how will you be able to measure that the sale actually came from your marketing efforts. I think at the end of the day, you'll be taken back to be asked, we did 1,000 messages. What benefit did we have from that? So unless this specific offer is running only on messages, then you'll be able to know, okay, these guys are probably coming because they got the message. So have that in mind, Dennis. So great, thank you for that. I'd love us to move to the next activity, which is also another question. So based on that same company, I'd like you to come up with a social media caption you can use to market the brand. I want you guys to remember, we've just come from writing messages for mobile marketing. So as you think of your caption, keep in mind everything we've learned. Is it actually social? Is it actually communicating in a way that the consumer relates to? So I'd like each of us to come up with a social media caption, just one that you can use to market that brand, and then we paste it on the chat. So again, I'll give you some time. I'll check in. Let me give you 5 minutes to start with. I'll check in on the progress and then we'll see if we need more time. So it's now 10:37. I think 5 minutes would be 10:42. So second question is on the chat. Come up with a social media caption to market brand X. You have 5 minutes. I'll check in after 5. We have 1 more minute. I can see 2 people have posted in the chat. 1 more minute. Okay, so I can see we have 3 on the chat. I think Dennis and Gloria are still typing. Okay, Gloria, I'll give you a minute to just paste yours, then we can review. Gloria, are you pasting yours? I've seen you stop typing. We're waiting for you. Gloria, please say something. Okay, Gloria, I'll give you 1 more minute. Yeah, because it's been almost 9 or 10 minutes. So please paste that, then we can proceed. Okay, so I think I'll start off, Gloria, as we wind up. So we have the first caption from Denny. It says, stock up on all your favorite brands at unbeatable prices, from fresh produce to household must-haves. Carrefour has everything you need for a great shopping experience. Come by and save big today. So I think that caption is pretty good. I love that it's clear and straight to the point. I love that you're also trying to encourage people to come to the shop. But again, thinking of Carrefour, I know they have an online platform, so it would be good to incorporate that as well. My same comments for be able to measure both online and offline, to be able to reach different people. I think something else the caption could benefit from is sort of incorporating a value proposition. So you're telling us, yes, to stock up. I can see the unbeatable prices. Sorry, but it would be good to see, can you add on something else? I know the one-stop shop is cliche, but you can think of things like that. What else? Yeah, I think depending on how long the offer is as well, you can add a sense of urgency, depending on how long it is. So, maybe hurry or come by before discounts run out, that sort of thing. So thank you for that, Dennis. I can see Wilsack posted transforming waste into a greener future, one solution at a time. Introducing Trash Tech Solutions, your partner in sustainable waste management. I think that's pretty good for an introduction sort of post. I think you'll do really well. Would be good to also talk a little bit about how you're actually doing the sustainable waste management. Is it, through a certain technology? Is it through providing eco-friendly solutions, for example? I think it would be good to sell more of that benefit to get people interested. I think also you would need a call to action if you're looking to measure, but if you're not, if it's just for awareness purposes, I think that's pretty good. So thank you for sharing that. I can see Margaret. I know you edited yours, so I'll go back to the last one just after this. So let me start with Lillian. Lillian, you said elevate your look and feel confident in every step. Try Kiwi Polish today. Shine with confidence. Kiwi Polish. Hashtag unlock your potential. From a first read, I would think it's a beauty brand. Maybe just feedback. So maybe you can see how you can use your words cleverly. I think something else that would be good would be to mention the shoe element. You've not mentioned shoe anywhere, so I could assume polish in different essences. So I want you to imagine a scenario where you have no image accompanying it. So on a platform like Twitter, where most of the time people post, words, would I be able to know, what polish is, assuming I don't know what Kiwi is? So think of maybe mentioning shoes at some point. I think in addition to that, try Kiwi Polish today. Where are we getting this Kiwi? If possible, you can have a call to action around that. I think that would be good, and those are my only comments. Then we have Margaret, who says, looking to own a place in the city without breaking the bank. At Madaraka Homes, we offer beautiful developments at amazing prices. We also guide you through every step of the buying process, making it stress-free. Say goodbye to renting and hello to home ownership. Get in touch with us at www.that, and she's putting her hashtags. I think it's pretty good. I love that you've talked about the beautiful developments at amazing prices, which is good. So maybe you can see how you can put that in, can I say, in a more refined way. So maybe I was saying something like discover the perfect blend of affordability and luxury, for example, so that then we're not sort of chipping it down. I think in addition to that, you have a call to action. Yeah, get in touch with us and www and find the perfect place. So I think that's pretty good. I'm okay with the call to action. Yeah, I think those are the only comments I'd give based on yours. And I can see Gloria pasted hers, and I'll just read it out. So here is to an improved healthy healthcare regimen, transforming your look every step of the way. Book an appointment with us today on, then she's given the number. So I think pretty good. One thing that's not too clear, but I think maybe you can add on for a benefit for yourself, is trying to sort of position the brand and give something that sets it apart. So yes, I would love an improved healthy healthcare regimen, but how can I communicate that better? It's not just about transforming the look. So I may be saying something like experience our personalized, healthcare regimen, so that it also feels like it was just for me. I think something else in addition to that, that you can add on would be something to get me to be excited. So rather than just tell me book an appointment, so are you maybe asking me something like, are you ready to transform and elevate your look? That sort of thing. Then book an appointment on blah, 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 blah. So I love that, all of us clearly have this skill hidden within us. We can keep improving it as we go. For those who joined late, we watched a couple of videos around caption writing, all of them which I'll include on the notes, which I'll upload on the e-learning. But I think for a start, we've done really well. I think at this point, I'd love to wind up the class. Maybe I'll do a round of comments, but maybe before that, I'm going to give 2 tasks. One of them is just based on that sales company you've come up with. I'd love you to come up with an emailer or an email marketing come up with an email that you can use to market that brand. And I'll paste that in the chat. So come up with an emailer you can use to market the brand you have chosen it via email marketing, and send it to me on my email. So yeah, this is the first task that I'd love to give us. I think this can be shared today by 5 p.m. And then something else that I have as a task would be for us to come up with a graphic. We've talked about Canva. So based on the things you've come up with for Brand X, I'd love you to come up with a graphic design that you can use to market the brand. It would either be a still poster, could be a video, whatever you choose. And you can use Canva or any other tool to sort of come up with that graphic. So the graphic one is a second task. So I'd love you to come up with that and send your final output on the WhatsApp group by tomorrow at 5 p.m. So one task is going to my email, the other task is going to the WhatsApp group, and yeah, you'll find out why it's going to the WhatsApp group, because we'll have a bit of engagement on that platform around it. So I think those are the 2 tasks. In addition to that, I think I'll post another smaller task on the e-learning platform to test out individually where we are. I'd love to gauge where we all are individually so far on some of the things we've covered. I know there are some assignments that I posted, so this is just others. I'm not necessarily a repetition, but I'll post that on the e-learning. And then, yeah, we'll get to interact with that. So once I put the notes and the task that I'm talking about on the e-learning, I'll let you know. These 2 questions are pasted on the chat. I'll paste them on the WhatsApp group as well. And then you can attempt them and let me know. But I think so far, any question till that point, I think everything should be clear, but I'm happy to clarify anything. If you have a question, as we do our round of in one word, how do you feel after today's class? I think you can ask your question. So I'll start with Vilsack. Let's hear your question, and then after that, we can hear in one word, how do you feel after today's session?
Okay, my question is, I'm not in that WhatsApp group. The number that I had given out, my WhatsApp got banned, so I need to be added. My new number to be added, please. About the session today, the session was nice. And only that we were a bit late, but it was so informative today. At least I can say that we are getting to learn the skill now, like the skill itself, the theory part is now behind us. Now we are on the practical side. Thank you.
Right, amazing. Thank you for that, Vilsack. If you don't mind, please paste your number on the chat, and then I'll organize for you to be added. So maybe just drop it there as we wrap up. Lillian, we can hear from you in one word. How was today's session for you? Or one sentence, feel free.
Okay, so for today's session, it was informative as well, sarcastic, and also interactive. And I enjoyed now diving into the practical part of digital marketing.
All right, amazing. Thank you for that, Lillian. Margaret, then finally Gloria.
Hello guys. So ideally I caught up with the session halfway, but the bit that I've caught up with you guys was quite engaging, and the practical bit of it now was pretty much involving, and yeah, I enjoyed the session.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Finally, Gloria.
I also had a lovely time, although I also caught up a bit late. I had power problems, but yeah, I have learned a lot, especially because today it was a bit of a practical lesson, so I enjoyed the class.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you guys have enjoyed. We'll be doing more of that practicality. When we meet next week, prepare. I want you to fit yourself in the shoes of a digital marketer, and using everything we've learned, we'll do a bit of a discussion next week where, I'd love to just hear what would Vilsack, the digital marketer, do? What would Lillian, Margaret, Gloria, what would you do as the digital marketer on a certain project? And I'm doing that because then I think next week we'll be halfway the program. And so based on that, then I want to start seeing where is everyone. So as promised, I'll post the 2 questions on the WhatsApp group for the task that you need to do. And then once I upload everything else on the e-learning platform, including the extra tasks, I'll also let you know on that side. Yeah, but I think that's it. I will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining in. Please, let's work on our timing as much as possible. If we can join in on time, we get to make the best out of everything. But for those who joined late today, don't worry, there's a recording, and I'm sure Phyllis will upload it on the e-learning platform so you get to access it. But I think for me, that's it. You guys have a lovely, lovely day. Everything else will be communicated on the group. All right. Bye.
Bye.